Happy summer, everyone. This is Matt Lemire here. I hope all of you guys are having a fantastic day. And today we've come out to Old Sacramento State Historic Park. And you know what that means? It's another train-related video. And I've got my shirt on for today's occasion. So about a week or so ago, the California State Railroad Museum acquired a steam locomotive that has traveled all the way via truck bed from the Nevada State Railroad Museum in Carson City, which I visited back in 2020. That locomotive in particular is the Virginia Truckee number 18, the Dayton. So I figured in today's video I'd talk a little bit about the history of the locomotive itself, as well as the exchange that happened and the circumstances behind it. So without further ado, let's get this vlog started.
The Dayton was built by the Central Pacific Locomotive Shops of Sacramento, California in September of 1873. The locomotive, along with its sister engine, the Columbus, were ordered by the Virginia Truckee that year to manage the winding, inclined route of track between Reno and Carson City, Nevada. Originally constructed by the Central Pacific as a coal burner, the Dayton was considered the workhorse of the V&T, who converted the engine to burn on wood instead. It was used for a variety of duties, including pulling mixed trains consisting of passenger and freight cars, assisting in railroad construction and maintenance, as well as helping other trains traverse the hilly terrain between Reno and Carson City. However, the most arduous and dangerous job the Dayton faced was plowing snow. In the wintertime, workmen attached a giant wedge-shaped plow, known as a bucker plow, to the front of the locomotive to combat the severe snowstorms of the Sierras. In these situations, the crew would have to cover the front windows with curtains and wooden boards to prevent snow from shattering the window and then falling into the cab. As the years went by, the Dayton remained a valuable asset for the Virginia Truckee. In early 1908, the locomotive would be converted once again to burn oil instead of wood, but would be relegated to plowing snowdrifts for the rest of its career. However, the winter of late 1936 and early 1937 saw a major turning point for the engine. Harsh conditions and icy rails caused the Dayton to derail during a snow removal job, leading the V&T to finally retire the now 65-year-old locomotive. The demise of the Dayton seemed to be fast approaching. The Dayton would find new life, however, this time as a star on the silver screen, as Paramount Pictures acquired the locomotive for $1,000 and featured it in Cecil B. DeMille's motion picture epic film Union Pacific, starring as the Union Pacific's number 119. This is the film that also starred Virginia Truckee's number 21, the J.W. Boker. Following 20 years in the Hollywood spotlight, the Dayton continued to appear at public events across the country during the mid-20th century, such as war bond fundraisers during World War II and railroad fairs. But by 1966, the locomotive was removed entirely from the public eye and covered up in a special-made tarp by Paramount. This hiatus would not last long though, as just 3 years later in 1969, the locomotive would be repainted and renumbered as the 119 once again, to commemorate the centennial of the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad. This was the same event where the Virginia Truckee's number 12, the Genoa, was painted as the Central Pacific's number 60, the Jupiter. In 1980, the Dayton would be handed over to the Nevada State Railroad Museum in Carson City, who would devote 2 years to a complete overhaul of the entire engine and restore it to its appearance from 1882. And finally, in 2005, the locomotive would find its new home in the museum's Comstock History Center, where it has been to this day. Now that we know a little bit more about the Dayton, why is it in Sacramento? Well, as of the making of this video, the locomotive recently appeared over the 4th of July weekend in Carson City at the 2022 Great Western Steam-Up, alongside some of its existing Virginia Truckee brethren, such as the J.W. Boker, the Genoa, the Inyo, and many more. Once the event wrapped, the Dayton was shipped via truck bed to the California State Railroad Museum. It was selected to come to Sacramento simply because it was built right here in the state's capital. This is part of a 2-year loan agreement with the Nevada Museum, now in possession of the Genoa and the Boker. Interestingly, the only Virginia and Truckee locomotive that did not make its way to Carson City was the number 13, the Empire, since it is in its own separate display. Although the Genoa and the Boker will be missed in Sacramento, the Dayton's presence as a celebration of California's railroading history is an exciting and refreshing experience for the museum.
Alright guys, that's going to be it for today. I really hope you enjoyed today's video on the Dayton and its history as a working locomotive on the Virginia and Truckee Railroad, as well as its history as a movie star. I think it's interesting that a lot of the locomotives that I've covered on my channel so far have been on the silver screen at some point. Like Sierra Railway number 3, which is at Railtown 1897, was in countless movies and television shows. Virginia and Truckee's number 21 and 22, the J.W. Boker and the Inyo, also graced the silver screen, and the Dayton did as well. I think that's interesting. Is it a coincidence? Maybe. I do love trains, but I also love movies, so I guess it gets the best of both worlds, I guess. I think it's also interesting that the fact that we got the Dayton back here to Sacramento, where it was built, back in the 1860s, 1870s originally, and we get to see it here on display. I think it's awesome. So I think that's going to be it for today. As always, to get more content like this, remember to tune in same at time, same at channel. Thank you for watching, guys. Take care and have a fantastic rest of your day.